evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are watching us from. This is your regular host on Connect with Comfort show. My name remains Comfort Eyitayo. On this program, we aim to add value to people on business enterprise and personal growth. Each show is organized to feature special guests who are subject matter experts on the topic for the day. We are glad you are able to join us today and we welcome you most warmly. Today, our conversation is on a theme that speaks volume in just few words, and that is a business too relevant to ignore. Business too relevant to ignore. In a rapidly evolving world where market shifts, consumer behaviors transform, and technology constantly rewrites the rules, only a business that understands its purpose, adapts to its environment, and creates enduring value can earn the badge of relevance. We might wonder, what does it truly mean to be too relevant to ignore? What it means is that building a business that not only survives economic tides but also shapes conversations, solves real problems, and serves as an indispensable pillar in its community or industry. It also means being a business whose absence would create a noticeable void, not just in profits, but in purpose. So, we will explore what makes a business vital and not just visible. We will unpack the principles that turn enterprises into movements, brands into beacons, and ideas into legacies. So, as we begin the conversation, I would like to encourage you to reflect not just on what business does, but on why it matters and how it can matter even more, because in today's complex and competitive world, being relevant is not optional, it's survival. Being too relevant to ignore is the new benchmark for sustainability and impact. So, once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this show. So, let us begin the conversation around this very important topic, which promises great insights, inspiration, and transformation. This we shall do after this short time out. Please remain connected. We'll be right back. Thank you. welcome back. Today, our special guest is one of the strategic pillar of this show. It's a known face to most of our followers, and it's no other than Rotimi Eyitayo. Rotimi is a dynamic courage coach, growth strategist, and transformational consultant. He is renowned for his energy, insight, and execution. He empowers individuals and organizations to rise above limitations, build relevance, and lead with purpose. His voice inspires, his strategies deliver. Please join me in making welcome Rotimi Eyitayo, our special guest for today.
Thank you.
Rotimi, you are most welcome.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for doing us the honor on this topic. So we'll go straight to understanding the topic by looking at the core problem that a business can solve, and why is it, or why is that problem too significant to overlook. When you establish a business, what are the core problems the business is meant to solve, and why is it so significant?
Thank you. I would say that any business that solves the problem of need, problem of pain, problem of survival, problem of emergency, things that are core and important to our existence, feeding, transportation. Those are businesses that provide services that is difficult to ignore. And once that business is able to connect, to provide value, to solve problems that cause people pain, or that promotes or guarantees survival, that business all of a sudden becomes an essential and important business.
Maybe adding to that, businesses that also enhance better living.
Yes, yes.
Thank you very much. So, how does a business align with current and emerging societal, economic, or technological trends to fit
I would
in?
say that yes, every business is like an average human being. So the average human being's anatomy, the head has the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth. So I would say that every business that listens, every business that observes, tends to easily align. Any business that is able to observe the culture and the shift or the demands within the market space, that business easily can adapt fast and align with the current demands or the social reality of that market it is operating in.
Very true. So, that's one key point we should note. Our businesses should, if we don't know that now, should have eyes that is being able to observe our environment, the trend in the market, should also be able to have ears listening both to employees, stakeholders, and what the customers say. So these are very, very key things. Thank you very much for drawing that analogy with the human being. So, what competitive advantage makes a business stand out in an oversaturated market?
So businesses that are able to provide service quickly, in our local terms, we call it express. Business that are consistent, they're always there Today they are there, tomorrow they are there, next tomorrow you are guaranteed that they are there. So speed, consistency, they form like the hallmark of businesses that are called dependable business or relevant business. So if any business person is looking at becoming significant, speed is there, the ability to stay consistent, and sometimes a little bit of connection, emotional connection, because a lot of times you have businesses providing similar services, but not all together connected to the environment. So the market can say, oh, this is our brand, this is our own. We have had several examples in the past where the market begins to choose a business brand or a business product over even a very popular product just because of the emotional connection. You've seen it in telecoms, you've seen it in fast moving consumer goods. So any business that establishes strong connection, any business that provides service as fast and as soon as possible, and any business that is consistent tends to be a business that is acceptable and difficult to ignore.
Very good. Consistency is the key word there because people find that more reliable that okay, come rain, come shine, this business is there, or I can get this product, I can get these services from this source. So that is also important for us to know the consistency aspect. Thank you very much. We have looked at the strategic relevance of a business, going to the economic and social impact. In what ways does a business contribute meaningfully to local or national development?
Thank you. So businesses that are able to, number one, provide employment. In fact, one of the critical elements that advocates for entrepreneurship is the value that it creates in employment. You know, the entrepreneurship space is credited to be one of the most important and integral element of actually bringing people into a place of employment and employability. So that's one. A business that begins to gravitate towards, you know, up upgrading standard of living, as it were, providing services that either reduces poverty, reduces malnutrition, or increase access to several things. So those businesses, in fact, they sometimes wear what you call a nationalistic cloak. You know, you find that businesses that have actually opened the community or the country or the state to more development. It can be setups, it can be enterprise, it can be manufacturing organizations. For example, we've seen a situation where just the presence of a university opens up a community or a village or a town, and then the ecosystem just begins to thrive. So you just find out that the market people begin to make money, the people having accommodation begin to make money, carpenters begin to find business just because the presence of a university was cited in that place. It now becomes an economic beehive.
Oh,
So businesses that are able to easily trace their outcome to the per capita income or the social welfare of the people are considered to be businesses that build or develop their nation or set city or setting.
very, very true. Very, very true. The example you gave of the university, the chain effect on various industries and things that people get engaged in is unimaginable. That's a good one. Now, how does you can look at it in that context that obviously a business such as that would be empowering stakeholders, customers, employees, and community. What makes a business indispensable to its value chain or ecosystem?
Well, a business that is indispensable to its value chain and A business that is, I hope you can hear me. So a business that is very, how do I put it, considered indispensable, is in its ecosystem is a become, how would I put it, has become an enabler, so to speak. A business that tends to easily, build value. You know, the business is showing the ability to create multiple layers. A business that solves probably a major recurring problem, a foundational problem, or sometimes a business that is used to, create some measure of essential services. So if you take, for example, the power holding companies in Nigeria, the power holding companies are considered indispensable, to a large extent. Whatever happens to such organizations, whether at the state level, local government level, or even at the national level, you can see that it affects the entire fabric of our existence. So businesses of such nature, like the power holding companies, businesses that provide power, businesses that provide essential services, are considered to be indispensable everyday living. Our survival, our existence is plugged into such businesses. You um, today's world, even when the telecommunication organizations shut down, you find that it's almost like people cannot even function, just because they've now become so essential. So such businesses in their ecosystem and in the life of the businesses where they are probably having as host community, they are super essential to them.
Thank you very much. So, how is a business adapt to rapid changes in technology, regulation, and consumer behavior?
That's a very good question. Thank you for that. One of the adaptiveness of businesses to technology and even policy and changes within its sector and industry is when businesses practice the word anticipation. You find out that a lot of businesses that don't forecast, that don't do market planning, they don't do growth mapping, tend to find out that changes catches them by surprise. So they are not just immersed in the business of now, they are also preoccupied in the business of tomorrow. So they think about what will happen in their sector, what would their sector look like in 10 years' time, what would their sector look like in 20 years' time. Take, for example, the organization called Microsoft. They've actually created a Microsoft report, like a future index of Microsoft created a future index report of 2030 to 20, more or less like showing us what skills will be in demand by 2030. And then if you forward it a bit, you go to 2050. And by analysis, in fact, a lot of soft skills and hard skills are considered that within the next 18 months to 2 years, many skills will become obsolete. Why? Because they are able to predict that there's a migration and a trend. And so businesses that read reports like that, businesses that have growth mapping at their disposal, tend to begin to prepare and show some of leadership agility to reading reports, looking at where the organization and the country or the industry is headed. Businesses that also practice customer feedback, businesses that watch data, you begin to realize that it is said that within the next few years, by 2050, is it 2030 or 2050, Nigeria will have a population of 430 million people. And the average age of that 430 million people would be 35, which means that we will be a young population, and will be the market of the world by that time. So imagine somebody who's able to sell something at 1 naira to 400 million people. That person automatically is a multi-billionaire, just 1 naira. Now, there are organizations that will definitely sell much more than that, It's just to show that people prepared that way can stay around long enough.
Interesting. Given that statistics, I'm tempted to ask where would the older people be? I hope they are not wished away. It is just the 35 that will be raining. Well, it's a broadcast, but the key thing from that point, which is very important, is for us to always be futuristic in our planning, in our outlook, and not just depend on the market of today. What's likely to happen in 5 years? What's likely to happen in 10 years, and things like that. And what can we do to, or do we need to do to make sure that we remain relevant when such changes come to bear? So this is very important. We have to be more proactive instead of being reactive. When it hits us, then we start staggering and looking at what to do. But we look ahead and make plans to make sure that we do not get any surprises. What steps is a business to take to remain relevant? Well, that's more or less in the next 5, 10 years. Is more or less what we are looking at by being proactive. What type of business model would remain resilient in the face of economic downturns or disruption, like we're having almost every now and then?
So it probably will be like a hybrid of existing business model. People will begin to think private public partnership PPPs. People will begin to accelerate into redefining and re-engineering the retail space. So we'll be having business to customer. We'll be thinking about business models that can also begin to leverage on the globalization and the democratization of markets and space. So nobody is going to be thinking that I'm a Nigerian business means I'm a Nigerian business just for Nigeria. Begin to see that the demand of the world is the demand of your business. So people will begin to do transborder marketing, transborder relationships. Such models would actually cause businesses to stay relevant, survive, and probably even have a good market share to lead into market leadership. But businesses that limit themselves to just one space, with themselves permitting themselves to one location, shouldn't be surprised that other people are planning for takeover of their own location as well. So it's almost like the survival of the smartest, fittest, and the bravest all together.
Fantastic. That's very important to note. So we have to look at the place of innovation, value creation. What innovative practices or solutions should a business introduce that cannot be ignored?
Sorry, the question again?
I said, in the light of your last response, that we need to bring to bear innovation and value creation. To that extent, what innovative practices or solutions should a business introduce that cannot be ignored?
I think one of the practical, innovative solutions that businesses should look at is trying to stay ahead of the curve. I think a lot of people need to unbundle and unpack their services to multi-layered levels. I think a huge migration into the world of AI, not just talking about generative AI now, we're talking about getting into the place of agentic AI, ability to galvanize all this multiple super intelligence to lead to business leadership. In fact, we're seeing a lot of people begin to redefine the dynamics of workforce, and just to be able to make sure that they are ahead of the market. So no one is going to say, well, I'm ashamed of, or I'm shy to make people think that I'm having support with technology. Technology is now itself a must. So businesses who are able to innovate to that level, to begin to think of internet of everything, and then begin to leverage with the shortness of speed, might be able to get to turn things around and create some measure of traction, as it were.
Thank you very much. So we have to really embrace the technology that is before us and even think deeper because things are changing every day. And the more we are able to get into it, the better for us. So we need to create value, and definitely, as we all know, the technology is there to serve as tools for most businesses so that it enhances performance, it enables you to create more value at a faster speed and all that. So it's an essential for our businesses to ensure that we look at the area where we can best serve us. So that's what that point is tilting to. How is a business perceived by its market? And does that perception align with its value proposition?
That's a very good question. Businesses are perceived first by their positioning. So a lot of times, based on the kind of problem, their offer in terms of value for money, that's how people perceive businesses. In fact, based on such perception, you hear people begin to rank this business as the most, the best, the first, the preferred. So some businesses have been able to successfully capture the mind of the market and the customer. So businesses that are able to, have that image, of premiumness or of innovation tend to be considered as trending at the best, not necessarily because they are totally better than others, but their positioning has urged them to be like the first. So when you think of certain product or certain range of product, some names come up first. Businesses are perceived based on their first move advantage as well, and also the customer experience that people have, based on interacting with the business. How do people feel based um, on their purchase, the level of the process of buying, the feel after, and even sometimes a bit of the reputation that people have wearing or being a part of that business, just like give you that kind of affinity of being able to say, I am a proud owner of XYZ. I don't want to market products, but if you think of automobiles, sometimes some people just have this confidence or this benefit of associating as, I'm a proud owner of XYZ product. I'm a proud owner of so wristwatch. I'm a proud owner of a so top. You know, so businesses are, identified in that way, and the more relevant a business is, regardless of the level the business is, the more, associated people. So if you even think about the local level, you also have products that are considered our own. In some states, this is the particular food people eat. There's a type of rice people buy into. Why? Because there's a bit of relevance and association with that. And people who do business in that space tend to have a markup better than the average customer. I mean, average participant.
Thank you very much. That actually speaks to markets that people talk about, even when the business itself is not seeking attention. It has become so known and relevant that people talk about it. I think that's good to know, and that's what we all aspire to have for our business. Thank you very much. If a business were to shut down today, what gap will it leave in the market or a community if a particular business were to shut down today? So, what gap is expected to be left in the community or the industry?
Well, this would be an assumption that the business is a relevant business. So, if MTN was to shut down today, obviously the number of millions of users of such services, we can definitely wake up tomorrow and find everybody complaining, businesses crippled, people not being able to reach each other, businesses not being able to operate effectively. That just shows the relevance of such business. Any significant business that has been able to rise up to become almost of national interest is as good as a natural resource to that organization and to that country. So M10 has become a natural resource, just like crude oil. So when we're saying what's the natural resource of Nigeria, the telcos, the discos, if Eco Electricity Distribution Company or Ikeja Distribution Company shuts down and there's no stepping in, there's nobody taking that role almost immediately, then we'll begin to see that there will be chaos in society and community. That shows that businesses have extensive and ripple effect, in the lives of everyone, right? Both primary audience, secondary audience, even a tertiary audience as well. So one can imagine that you're traveling and then the next thing you want to check in and then there's power outage at the airport and there's no generator. And then there's no, so you now realize that even though you have a visa, you have a ticket, you could be crippled for some time just because the businesses are acting like a glue connecting the missing pieces. So there are many moving parts in society, and businesses are that glue that enables or amplifies
Circulating.
the well-being, yes, in people's lives.
Thank you very much. So, in this situation, what lesson can other businesses learn from a business journey to relevance? Because you have given a very good example of a significant, not just being relevant, significant businesses without having to repeat their names for for promotion. So,
I think
what can we learn?
I think the lesson here is regardless of the kind of business, regardless of the sector of business, I think all businesses should thrive to become irresistible in the marketplace. Almost difficult for people to say they want to do without you. One, it guarantees patronage, it extends growth because growth is not just profit and income. Growth is not even just in size and numbers. Growth is now seen in success, significance. Growth is seen in relevance, as we're saying today. So our growth goal should be extensive enough and accommodative enough to make sure that we are thinking big, we are thinking better as well, so that our businesses don't just achieve big results or big bottom line, but we're becoming better in our impact in everyday life. In fact, every business in Nigeria, to be precise, other countries fine, but in Nigeria, to be precise, should have a bit of social welfare woven into the fabric of that business. Almost that is something that can make that business fail proof. We should see our businesses as a national intervention, not just the expression of an idea. Because that's when you now begin to see the business being able to take a form and hopefully become transgenerational eventually.
Thank you very much. In all this, because we have to continuously think of the community we are serving, the community of small businesses, medium businesses. In all this, some people may be thinking, yes, this is most desirable, or that we've been talking about being a business that is too relevant to be ignored. How can a small business or a startup get that confidence that that business he or she is planning to start up or that has just been started up will get to that kind of relevance that will be the business relevant enough to be ignored, too relevant to be ignored.
Thank you
Maybe
very much.
before you, sorry, maybe before you answer that, let me just take the contribution from Banjo Bayode. In a volatile economic climate, marked currency devaluation, high inflation, and regulatory uncertainty, how can a business How can businesses create resilient profit models that thrive across multiple sectors? Maybe you want to take that. Sorry.
Okay, that's a very good question, and looking at it, we need to realize that resilient profit models that thrive across multiple sectors still takes us back to the business positioning. Most businesses fail when they begin to think that they are for every market. Within the market space, there is what we call the market share. And yes, we have high inflation. Yes, we have a lot of devaluation and uncertainty. But the truth about it is that the market still evolves under the same principle. So no matter how the economic turnout is, money never leaves the system, right? It just forms to where and how positioned the business is. And so if we're going to thrive and we're going to thrive across multiple sector, then we now need to begin to think of divergent approach. In other words, we now build a business model where we are now not just on a mono economy, and now we are also trying to create business expression that is first premium, next alternative, then general, and then we begin to deal with the market head on simultaneously. And so that way we get the best of all worlds with sound business principle, and we are positioned to be the preferred choice. So the goal of that business, who is trying to make sure that they're always relevant, is to get into the mind first. If you are not in the mind of the market, right, that shrinking thing we are talking about is because you are out of mind. Out of mind is out of sight. Out of sight is not going to lead to conversion. And so you find out that it's really a mind capture thing. So behind every advert you see out there, behind every name of every product out there, it's all about mind capture. And so sometimes the first step is to not just sell the name of your organization, but to brand the solution that you deliver. The world today looks for branded solution, not names of brands. So branded solution now begins to help you navigate the selection process where you have lots of organizations, similar price, similar product, similar promise, but then you are not so differentiated. And so unfortunately, in the branding space, most people try to copy to look alike. And that makes it worse for them because branding is not about sameness. Branding is about being distinct. And so you must look for a way to be loud on your differentiation, loud on your uniqueness, and less of sameness. And then the world begin to gravitate to say, oh, I see, this is what I really want. I don't want this. Or this is a fresh look or fresh business I'm looking for.
Thank you very much. I hope that satisfied the contribution of Bayo. So to the question for the startup, if you can remember or you want me to go over
Yeah,
it again.
I remember. So I think they've any startup out there should not really be bothered about size per se. I think it all starts with the value you want to offer. A lot of times when we look at the value we want to offer, you will begin to see that it makes you easily, peg yourself. And like I said in the previous question, positioning based on your offer of value helps you to still capture the kind of people that you need to capture. And then people now begin to see how clear that you are about what it is you do, and then within a short time they begin to gravitate to you, and then you become a sought after business. So, and because of technology and because of the way the world is today, people don't need to grow into success per se. People can become successful in the immediate. Why? Because they now understand that there's the use of collaboration, there's the use of affiliation, there's the use of a lot of methodologies available. And sometimes as small as a brand can be, it might be the benefit because there are big brands that have blind spots that are not covering the market well enough. They are too big that they cannot reach the market long enough. They are too loud. They are not they're not personal enough. So you look at what you call the comparative advantage and say, they are big on this, they are better on website, they are good with followership, I am good in this. And so you use that differentiation to now peg your positioning, and then you are able to say, regardless of your size, you're starting now, you can still win a customer at a time, and eventually growth happens for you.
Thank you very much. Okay, okay, I have a contribution. That's Amina Ismail. My business is a national intervention, not just the expression of an idea. Okay, that's a statement. That's good. That's very good. Thanks for the contribution, Amina. So I would just want to ask, what would be your parting shot on this topic for our listeners? You have
All
one.
right, thank you very much. I would say that good is no longer enough. Good is now called the new mediocre. Doing a good business doesn't take you far. It's building a great business, and a great business can only happen when your ultimate expression, when your ultimate service, when your ultimate offer is too relevant to be ignored. So I want us to go for relevance. I want us to become significant, not just successful. Success is short lived, significance has a longer shelf life, both in the short term, mid term, and the long run. So, every business person out there, every professional out there should try and strive and aspire to become relevant. Whether you're working for someone, you're working with people, you're working through people, significance is the strategy that will win the game. Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you very much for all the great insights that you have shared with us on this topic. They are all very useful, and then uh, small businesses, both small and medium businesses, can really identify. And I hope that we have really gained the points made on this topic. Before I come to the wrap up session, I would like to appreciate those who have joined us today and those who have contributed. Bayode, Bayode has contributed um, with his question, and I hope that has also touched some point for some people. Regular, more or less, attaining the position of partner now, Taiwo Ojo from Abuja. She's a constant. Thank you very much. Talk of consistency. And my sister also, Wendy Garuba Ayeni, streaming from Lagos. Thank you all very much for joining us today. Our diamond boy, I use this opportunity to shout out to Femi Jayesimi, who just turned 60 a couple of weeks back. We at Connect with Comfort Show say happy birthday to you. Femi Jayesimi is one of our regular. We appreciate you. We pray that your new age will be blessed. And I also want to recognize Bisola Grace. Bisola Grace also made contribution telling us of our business, which is inspiring. Thank you very much, Bisola Grace. Amina, oh, okay, sorry, that's it's Amina that told us that my business is a national intervention, not just the expression of an idea. Fantastic. Thank you, Amina Ismail, for joining us too. I appreciate all of you, and especially I appreciate our special guest today. He has done us proud, and is, as usual, like I said, is one of our strategic pillar on Connect with Comfort show. So importantly, he has said so much, but all the same, I will still want to touch base just to remind us of the relevant key points for us when we look at business that is relevant and too relevant to be ignored. That business must be fulfilling societal needs like societal impact, market demand, adaptability, and innovation. and it's also about purpose, presence, and solving problems for many. So that is what it means. Then our guests correctly used the analogy of a human body, that we look at the anatomy of irresistible relevance, problem solving. Our business must be in that position that we have a problem we are solving for our immediate community or the nation at large. Business that addresses urgent needs command attention, offering unique value proposition, that is very important, that are hard to replicate. So people will always come to you once they know that, oh, like even ordinary, even in food business, there are people that are known especially for a particular brand, maybe of rice or beans or something like that. So creating that unique niche for your business make it irresistible. And then, like we said, continuous innovation and evolution to stay ahead of consumers expectation. Don't wait until changes meet you by surprise. You should anticipate, like in Nigerian English they say second guess. You should anticipate what is likely to come next year, next 2 years. Now we are in the era of waiting for the impact of this new tax bill. We should look at and get advice if we do not have the expertise of what it means for our businesses. You should not wait until things catch you by surprise. We should also make sure that even this tech disruption that we all talk about, we are not adversely affected, but positively embrace the one that will enhance our performance, our yield, and even our business, scaling it higher in terms of technological tools that will help us. So that is very important. Like I said, yes, our primary focus is on small medium business, but there are small businesses that are small but mighty. So do not just uh, downgrade yourself because you are small. You think you cannot be relevant enough to be too relevant to be ignored. You can. Small, you can be small but mighty. Carve a niche for yourself, become a local enterprise that is too relevant to be ignored through community trust and consistency. Also, this we say in every topic we deal with, because we are talking of business, enterprise, and personal growth. We must be customer centric. Our customer centricity means having listening ears. That is the um, analogy that our guest speaker gave, likening it to human body. You must have listening ears, and you must be able to go through feedback so that you can be agile to scale and then do things. The resilience in changing economy and consistency. He told us the importance of that. We have to be consistent. We have to be the go-to in our business area. The social and regulatory environment should also be factored into our planning. We must invest in people for our businesses to become too relevant to be ignored, because it's not a walk alone, or a walk alone in the park, as they say. So we need people to help us with our businesses, and we must avoid fading relevance. Don't just be relevant for a short period. Don't be stagnant. Loss of connection can make you stagnant with markets. If you are not looking at market trends, you can become stagnant, and the changes may catch up with you by surprise. We must also learn lessons from other dominant businesses that fail to adapt. That should be a wake up call for us. Example that is usually used is Blockbuster, Kodak. Remember the period of Kodak photograph. or that they became dormant. So we need to learn lesson. How did they become dormant? Some of us know, because they were not agile enough, they were not futuristic in their approach, and they did not see the changes coming as fast as it did. So we have to make sure that we make deliberate effort to remain agile and imbibe all those good points that our guest speaker today had shared with us. It's no longer enough to say, consider something good. You have to look at something better, not just resting on our oars with little successes. So we need to start today to build and maintain a business that matters, encouraging businesses to uh, check themselves periodically. I use the word audit, not only in financial terms, but in all aspects, all ramification of the business. Audit the business to see how well it's adapting and how well it's flourishing. So as we round off this engaging session on a business too relevant to ignore, we are reminded that relevance is no longer a luxury, it is a necessity. We need to be relevant. In today's dynamic landscape, businesses that remain deeply connected to the needs of their environment, that solve real problems, create value, and evolve with time cannot and must not be ignored. This is a fact. So we need to embrace it. Whether it's through innovation, social impact, digital transformation, or sheer resilience, the enterprise that rise to relevant position themselves as indispensable pillars in their communities and industries. These are the businesses that attract attention, sustain loyalty, and drive progress. So, as stakeholders, whether as founders of businesses, either as professionals, partners, or consumers, let us commit to championing relevance by staying attuned, being intentional, and striving not just to succeed but to matter. Because in the end, the business that matters is the business that lasts. So I want to once again thank you for your attention. Appreciate our special guest for today. I've done so very well, and I appreciate all of you that are our usual followers. Please extend the same courtesy to other people to join us for our future episode. I hope you have all enjoyed today's episode. If so, please remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Comfort Eyitayo. If you have done that, please turn on the notification button, like and share our videos. Stay updated with information about our upcoming events, solutions, and offers on my Instagram account at Comfort Eyitayo, as well as my Facebook account at Comfort Eyitayo. So till I come your way again, let us go forth and build or support businesses that the world cannot afford to overlook. Our businesses shall remain too relevant to be ignored. Thank you for joining us. God bless you. Have a blessed week.